Yes, yes, yes. What is up, MCR family? Another weekly edition of the show live on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Should be a fun one today. A lot of fights this last weekend. A lot of fights this upcoming weekend, though we're not going to break them down. A lot of news to get to as well. Should be a fun one. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I'm Matthew Hunter. Find me right there. And I'm joined, as usual, on these great shows by the one and only Gary in Dallas. Gary, how are you, man?
I'm good. I was in San Antonio all weekend at an amazing local show that was 2 days of amateur boxing and then a professional show, and it was awesome. And then I came back last night and I binge watched everything I missed. And what a good Saturday it was for boxing. Like, there were a lot of blood and guts fights. And then I keep wanting to call him Nigel Benn Jr. I think I'm just going to do that from now on. Nigel Benn.
Is there a Nigel Benn Jr. though?
Is there?
I'm just asking.
If there is, he's the lesser of the brother. Because I thought the future of the welterweight division was stacked with three guys, with Ramos and then Virgil Ortiz and Boots. Boots is amazing. And, like, there may be a fourth new guy because Benn looked phenomenal in taking apart Vargas in 1 minute and 20 seconds. That was incredible. Like, that's a pro. Now, I know Vargas isn't a world beater, but he's a pro. You know what I'm saying? Like, Virgil Ortiz beat the heck out of him for 7 rounds, or 6 rounds, 7 rounds, whatever it was. And he took the beating. To get him out in a minute like that, I wish Rob was here because, like, you know, a lot of times I'll say he's okay, but he's only good for a UK fighter. Nigel Benn Jr. is good. He's good, period. Like,
it's funny because, like, him and, like, let's say, like, Josh Kelly, another prospect, air quotes, no longer prospect, of course, in that division, when they were both, like, having their pro debuts, one really had hype and, like, hardcores thought, like, he'd go far, which was Josh Kelly. And you had Conor Benn, who a lot of people kind of wrote off, and he didn't look as stellar, I think, in his first few fights. And he's really, I think, like you said, grown into his own. We'll get to that, though. But you didn't mention in that, you know, spiel about Jaron Ennis and being special. You know, Jaron Ennis being somebody that is potentially the future of this division, the future of boxing. I know that gets thrown around a lot. But his performance last night, or I should say 2 days ago, on Showtime against Sergey Lipinets, a former champion, was absolutely enthralling. Like, it was, Gary, I mean, I know we talk and we wax poetically about fighters at times, and I think we get a little bit over the top and hyperbole at times. But Jesus Christ, man. Like, this was a showing of the welterweight division and its future on Saturday. Obviously with Conor Benn earlier in the day and with Jaron Ennis later that night. I mean, it was perfect.
You didn't mention Stanos? Is that how you say it? He's all right, but I mean, like, he'll
be a top 20-ish guy.
Yeah, okay, good. We agree on that. Like, I thought you were gonna mention his name. So I'm like, no, don't do that.
I thought he definitely needs some work.
He beat a good fighter. He beat a guy who's good, right? I mean, he beat a decent opponent, and he struggled in it, but he fought a good opponent. So, like, but okay, I'm just glad you didn't mention Stanos' name because that guy, he's fine. I'm not hating on him. He's fine, but he's not Boots. He's not Nigel Benn Jr. He's none of those guys. Virgil Ortiz, Jesus Ramos. He's none of those guys.
That is true. That is true. But I mean, are you as high on Jaron Ennis as I am? I think he is one of the best prospects in the sport. I think he's the best prospect in this division. And I know we might have some debate about this, Gary, but he's ready for, like, a Spence and a Crawford next. Like, that's not out of the question. I don't think it happens next, obviously, for a variety of reasons, but he's ready for that top level. Ramos isn't, right? Great prospect. He's going to be there at some point, but he's not ready for those top 4 or 5 guys yet. Ortiz, he's probably ready from talent alone, but he doesn't have the win that Jaron Ennis just got, right? Like, that's the reality, is that this win was the fight we needed to see from this prospect to gauge how good he was, and he was perfect, virtuoso, like whatever like adjective you want to use on this performance that we use all the time in boxing. It was it. He dominated every second, every exchange, every aspect of the fight, from the inside, the mid-range, the long range. I mean, everything. It was perfect. I mean, this is kind of like what I felt like when I saw like Crawford like beat up Gamboa, right? I was like, oh my God, like holy shit, like this guy's really good. He can do anything.
He does it with so much more style than Crawford, though.
Yeah.
And shout out to whoever, because whoever designs his trunks also designs Tevin's too, because they're like the same. So I don't know who's designing those shorts in those trunks in Philadelphia, but good work. It's really good work. They're good.
I mean, thoughts on Jaron Ennis, man, in his performance. Thoughts on how high you rank him now. Like thoughts on his future, because I feel like we can have those discussions now. When a few fights ago, I was putting off those talks and discussions.
As Larry David would say, pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, yeah, there was nothing not to like about the performance. I was talking, with a bunch of boxing heads in San Antonio before the fight, and I said, yeah, Ennis is gonna win. Ennis is gonna win. He's not gonna. I don't think he stops him, and if he gets rid of him easily, I'll be very, very impressed. I was very, very impressed. It was an eye-opening performance. I don't know if he just made Lipinets look that slow, but Lipinets looked real slow. Ennis was on top of his game. He was pinpoint accurate, laser-like with his hooks and his left hands. I'd like to see a little more jabbing. I think he's going to have to jab a little more against the top guys. He falls in love with his power. And look, he's got great power. I'm nitpicking, right? Like, obviously it was a great performance. Obviously he's one of the premier prospects, if not the top prospect in the game. Okay? I'm just nitpicking here, right? Like, what can he do better, right? If you're going to say he's going to beat Crawford and he's going to beat Spence, he's going to have to be amazing, right? Because those guys are Hall of Famers. I'm not saying that he can't. I may pick him to beat either of those guys. It's all there. There's not. It's amazing that this guy wasn't hyped out of the amateurs. Like, I don't get it. Right? It was like when Kurt Warner came into the NFL. Nobody wanted him. It's like, do you see this guy? Like, nobody likes it. No one wanted to sign this guy out of the amateurs. Nobody looked at the talent and the speed and the power and the reflexes. And it's not like his power is good, but he lands right on the button, shot after shot. It's like, and it makes the power that much better. He is special. He is.
You want something really funny? Do you know who he had a big rivalry with in the amateurs?
No.
Gary, I believe it's Antoine Russell.
Okay.
Gary Antoine Russell beat him, I think, 4 out of 5 times in the Emmys. And obviously, all the Russell brothers were high amateurs. Ennis wasn't, like, I'm not saying that that's the sole reason why he wasn't high.
I could see that. The Russell brothers, like, if you just kind of get on your back foot and start firing the jab, the judges, sometimes you don't know what you're going to get. Like, you don't know what they're looking at in the pros, but in the amateurs, you really don't know what they're looking at sometimes, right? And you might just get on his back foot and start jabbing, and the judges love it. So Gary Antoine Russell?
I believe that's how you pronounce it, yeah.
Looks like he'd be a really good amateur. I'm not saying he's not a good pro. He's a good pro, but he looks like he'd be a really good amateur just from his speed and his style.
Absolutely agree with that. But you're right. I mean, like, how has this guy, like, really only received hype as of late? Maybe it's, connections. I mean, Cameron Duncan is not the best, I think, connection to have in the sport.
He's a connection, right? He can get you in fights, but again, he's not the best. He's better than nothing.
It's
Crawford started with them, right? Bradley started with them, so it's not like he sucks. It's just not the best.
It's not a one-to-one analog, of course, but it's similar issues like Shields and Salida Promotions. Like, there's a limitation with who you're signed with, and that's just how it is, unfortunately. Ennis clearly has some of that issue for a long time. The PBC connection, I think, has been amazing for him. And I will not be surprised to see him get poached from Cameron Duncan sooner rather than later by a PBC affiliate, right? Like, that's not going to be shocking. The guy's 23 years old. I'm assuming he's not going to have that much longer in terms of his promotional contract for Cameron Duncan. So this guy's going to be a promotional free agent pretty soon, if I had to guess. He's getting a lot of hype now. He's a top 10 welterweight in the world right now. Right, he is.
I'd say both him and Virgil are.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree with that. I think Enos is a little bit higher, but that's beside the point. But it's going to be really exciting to see the next few moves from him. Because if it's a Thurman fight, maybe an all-Philly showdown with Danny Garcia, maybe he crosses because, he's not really connected with Al Heyman and PBC. Maybe goes to Top Rank and fights Terrence Crawford. Maybe Ortiz and Golden Boy give him the call. I doubt that happens. It's rare to see prospect versus prospect fight, especially in the U.S. scene. But, anything's open for this guy. He is that special, that talented, that young. The ceiling's that high for him. I think it was somebody in the chat. Who was it? Frank over on Twitch saying Enos is huge for 47. He's a big guy, too. He's going to definitely move into 154 at some point and contend with those guys. When we talk about the lightweight division, often being like the future of the next generation of the sport, right? Enos deserves to be in law of this conversation. We talk about Teofimo Lopez, Gervonta Davis, even though they're not in the same division, of course, but just the next wave of stars, the guys to hold down the industry. It's going to be guys like Jaron Ennis, Virgil Ortiz, Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, and I'm really
Kanahara.
I'll be honest, Gary. I'm really excited for this next generation to come into their own. I remember when it happened with the Spences and the Thurmans and the Dannys. I remember when that happened, and I was that's when I really became a hardcore when those guys were prospects, and that made me even more of a hardcore, of course, when they came out on top and they became champions in other divisions and stuff like this. I cannot wait for this generation to do that because clearly this generation has far more drawing power than the previous one.
That just made me feel so old. You said I became a hardcore with Danny Garcia. It seems like yesterday. I know it was. I know it was 15 years ago, 10 years ago. I became a hardcore with Toro Gatti and Johnny Tapia.
Gary, I know, man.
That just made me feel so old.
Gary, I'm getting gray hair now. Have I told you?
I had my first gray hair in 8th grade. And I had a teacher who was 500 pounds, right? And he goes, how old are you? Whatever. I was 13, right? I go 13. He's like, 13? And you have your first gray hairs. Okay, I'm an impressionable 8th grader. You want to say this in front of the whole class? So I go, how old are you? And he's like, I think he was 47. I said, 47 and 500 pounds already? Tough break. You want to embarrass people 13? I'm not self-conscious enough, right? You want to say that in front of
Gary, that is an amazing story. I'm sorry to give you a moment there. I apologize. That was an hilarious story. Thank you for that. Jesus Christ. Yes. Anyways, because Gary, am I wrong here that this next the next wave we have in boxing, they seem like far more marketable stars than the previous wave, which is the Thurmans, the Dannys, the Spences, even though they are in some ways their own drawing power and stars in their own right. This next wave seems like it's going to push the sport to better horizons, to be quite honest.
They do. The other guys were marketable because of their skills. Keith Thurman was the only one who was a mouthpiece, and Keith Thurman didn't really like the media. Not that he wouldn't do media. He would do it when he had a fight coming up, but when Keith Thurman wasn't fighting, he was MIA. You know what I'm saying? You didn't know where Keith Thurman was. He wasn't, and that's fine. But Danny is not a talker. Terrence Crawford is not a talker. Errol Spence, really not a talker, right?
It's amazing they became the stars that they are, to be quite honest.
But these other guys are, and they have natural fan bases, right? So yeah, I think these stars coming up, Teofimo Lopez, Virgil Ortiz, Boots Enos, Shakur Stevenson, they're going to sell it better. They're going to market themselves better than the group before them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Devin Haney, of course. I don't know how I forgot him. Ryan Garcia.
We forget Haney because his fights have been boring as of late. Let's just be honest about it. You in the chat saying Ortiz has. I disagree with this take, by the way, already. Just to let you guys know, Ortiz has the dog in him and can take a decent shot like shown in the Hooker fight. Ennis has better skills, but does he have the dog and chin? No idea.
Yeah, he did. He got hit with 2 shots by Lipinets. And Lipinets can. Like, I'm not saying Lipinets is the biggest hero in the division, but he's got power.
I would say more power than Maurice Hooker.
I mean, it's maybe sure. I mean,
gun to your head, Gary. Hooker versus Lipinets.
Who do I want to get hit by?
No.
Oh, who wins that fight?
Yeah, who wins that fight? That'd be interesting. That's actually a good fight.
It's a good fight. That's a really good fight.
I pick Lipinets, but that's a tough one. Hooker could outbox him.
Hooker can, but if Lipinets gets on the inside of him, he loses. That's a really good fight. They probably fight 10 times and they split it 5-5. Like it's that close.
You're just saying Lipinets is a blown up 140-pound guy. Come on. So is Hooker, dude.
So is Hooker. Yeah.
Yuta, like your points are completely illogical here, man. Fall back.
Hooker beat. I mean, not Hooker. I'm having trouble today. Okay. Lipinets has his best win. I know he won a title at 140, but his best win's at 147. Lamont Peterson.
Yeah, and that was a great fight. Oh my god, that body work in that fight, so good. Anyways, digressing. What do you want for Ennis next? I think I mentioned Thurman. I feel like that fight is the one that makes sense. Danny said he wants to move up, so I don't know if
that would make the most sense because you have an old Philly fight.
But I don't think
it's not going to happen. Yeah, I think I want Keith Thurman for Verge, but I really want Terrence Crawford for Virgil Ortiz. So let's do that. Let's do Virgil versus Crawford, and
we can give Thurman to Ortiz. Let's give Mikey to Ennis. Because, I mean, we can't have Mikey versus Ortiz.
Right, you can't have that.
Your teammates.
I'm not even trying to sound disrespectful to Mikey because I like Mikey. I'm a Mikey defender when Matt hates on him.
Facts.
Ennis destroys him.
Wrecks him.
He's too quick. He's too powerful. He's bigger than him. Like, Ennis destroys Mikey. And I like Mikey. Mikey's fundamentally really good. He's Matt's not going to get this. Maybe there's someone. John Olerud was a 300 hitter. Like, everything he did was like picture perfect. He didn't do anything great, but he had a beautiful swing. Like, he hit decent power, and he drove the baseball. He was a line drive. He was really good. Fundamentally, he was perfect. He was really good in the field. That's Mikey Garcia. He's just really fundamentally good. Is he the best guy in boxing? No. Right? And now he's out of his weight class, so he loses. But I like Mikey. That being said, Ennis is way too much for him.
Yeah, but, I mean, who else is really there?
Like, no, I think it's a good fight. I would make the fight. I would take the fight, but I'm just telling you, Ennis destroys him.
If Sean Porter's available, I would also add Sean Porter to the mix. But I'm holding out hope, man. We get that surprise Crawford Porter announcement, man.
And I want to give it to Boots because I said don't fight Lipinets. Like, you asked me, would you want Virgil to fight Lipinets? I said I like it. It's a good fight. I wouldn't make it if I were Golden Boy. No, he's not fighting him. Get me somebody else. I'm not fighting him. It's a dangerous fight against a tough guy who you're probably not going to look good against even if you win. And Boots took the fight, looked amazing. So hats off to Boots. If I was the promoter, I would say, no, get me somebody else.
Also on this card, as you alluded to, was Montes Satonis. How do you pronounce the last name? Do you remember?
Satonis.
What?
Yes, the Lithuanian.
The Eminem guy.
I had it down before. I was practicing before the show, but you know my memory.
Dude, I used to do that, like practice name pronunciation, and then I'll come on the show and still fuck it up, and I stop trying because I know I fucking suck at it. It's okay. Satonis, aka Eminem, beat Thomas Delorme in a pretty competitive fight that I had pretty close. I think the Steve Weisfeld card was probably how I had it, a 115, 112, or one. He had a 113, so maybe was there a 10-10 round there that he scored?
115, 113 is 7-5. 115, 113.
At 115, 112, 7-5.
Oh, it was 10-8 round there. He had a 115, 112?
No. Isn't 115, 112?
No, 115, 113 is 7-5.
Oh, my bad. Math is hard.
Math is hard.
I had probably 7-5. I thought Delorme, he could have won this fight, to be honest.
I thought so too. He didn't, but he could have.
Exactly. I think he gave it up towards the end of the fight as well. The first 4 or 6 rounds, I thought he was boxing quite well. The issue was he wasn't counterpunching enough. Like, he just wasn't throwing enough off the back foot to offset the really ineffective aggression by Satonis. Like, honestly speaking, Like, he wasn't coming off the ring that well. He wasn't using the jab that well. Wasn't going to the body that well. Like, for a guy that was highly touted by a lot of hipsters and hardcores, I didn't see a lot of technical ability there. I saw a lot of like raw aggression, power, durability, but and good cardio. He had good cardio, but I there's a lot to be had there, to be quite honest. He needs a few more fights before he fights any guys in the top 10. I think he should stay in this top 15-ish realm, like other Thomas Delorme style fights. Maybe a Jamal James next is probably who I would think of.
I don't think he beats those guys. He beat Delorme, so maybe, but I think Jamal James beats him. Like,
it's at least competitive.
Yeah, no, it's competitive. He's got. I don't really like. For a guy that fights like him, he's got to cut the ring off better. I don't like the way he cuts the ring off. He's not going to beat good fighters who can move.
Yeah, like I can see that even like guys like Danny Garcia being able to like outbox and move. You know what I mean? Like, it's just really, really ineffective aggression. I always hate ineffective aggression. But overall, I want to see more of him. This was like honestly the first full fight I've seen of him. I want to say I've only seen maybe a couple of the fights on YouTube, but not like live. Real fights. I need to see more. I don't really have a definitive opinion about Suetonius right now. Jaron Ennis, though, made his PBC debut against Jonathan Rodriguez, and I'll be honest, I missed. No, stop. I missed half of the fight.
Okay. All right.
I missed half of the fight. And I missed the knockdown too, which I heard was a crazy knockdown, which I didn't see it. So I only saw the first like 6 or 7 rounds. And Cajas, man, God bless him. He just is not that great. You know what I mean? Like, he's a good fighter. Like, he's good. He's a B. He's a B in everything. Not B plus, just a regular old B in every department. And his division's filled with A plus fighters. So it's the unfortunate reality of the timing of the era he's in. I thought he kind of just showed the same old Jaron Ennis performance. Nothing that impressive that I saw.
He blocks punches with his face a lot, right? Like, he's a fun fighter, and he's gonna be. He was in a fun fight. I know you didn't watch half of it, but like, am I the only one in here who thought Rodriguez won the fight? Like, I wasn't scoring it, so I'll go back and watch it. Really good, but I thought Rodriguez won more rounds.
Even with the knockdown?
I when going in, I thought, like, I know that they said it was close and they had it for chaos. I'm like, I think it's close, but I think Rodriguez won. And then some of the scores were wide. I'm like, I don't know. Did anyone in the chat, did anyone score this? But I thought Rodriguez won the fight. I'm going to go back and score. I just binge watched everything when I got home. So I'm going to go back and score it. But I thought Rodriguez won. Like,
well, I've heard say that they thought Ennis won. Frank in the chat says that he thought it was pretty even. Could have gone either way.
I don't think it was outrageous like that. Like, he didn't win. But, like, it's very close fight, and there were so many close rounds. Same thing in the Joe Smith fight. Like, I'm not upset with the decision.
I'm upset about that.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna get to it.
I think the first 6 rounds were toss-ups. So off the bat, okay, but we'll get into that. Yeah, no, I thought Rodriguez won. I was surprised the scores were wide. But I thought Rodriguez had done enough. I thought he landed more power shots in the fight. Like, not that you punch that really matters. It was a really close fight where I thought Rodriguez had done enough to win. And I like Chaos. He's fun. He's just in a really good division. And like, how's he gonna do with Chocolatito, really? And I like Chaos, but how's he gonna do with Chocolatito?
Or like,
how's he gonna do with Ioka?
Or Quadras?
Yeah, like it's a tough division.
Like,
I think what a good fight is. I like to see him fight Josh Franco.
I was thinking Tanaka off the loss because Tanaka can easily get a belt in this division.
Tanaka could get a belt,
right?
On Chaos can crack. Although, can he really? I mean, it's kind of like, yeah, he could crack, and then like, but why does he really knock people out then? You know, like,
what's his knockout ratio?
It's good, but like, when was the last time he knocked somebody out who was good? He got all of his knockouts early in his career against nobodies.
I mean, his last knockout was, his previous fight against Miguel Gonzalez.
Okay.
Is Miguel Gonzalez the greatest guy? No.
No, but it's a name. It's
yeah. Israel Gonzalez is a good fighter.
Okay, so all right.
Jamie Collin, he knocked out Jamie Collin. That was 4 years
All
ago now. Holy shit, though.
I'll go to him. Okay, so he's got power. Do you want to put Tanaka in? Usually, if you get knocked out, they don't give you a puncher right away.
You're right.
Although I would like to see the fight.
Yeah. Then yeah, fuck, give Franco the fight because he's not getting any of the big names right now. They're too busy. So yeah, why not? I'm in favor of that. Did they show the Evan Holyfield fight? I don't remember seeing it. Damn, that was off TV. If anyone was there, let us know how he looked.
I tell you, he's better than Campbell Hatton.
You don't know that. You didn't see the fight.
No, I didn't see this fight, but I've seen this when he fought in Dallas right before the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
And he fought on a Canelo card too once. His pro debut was on a Canelo card.
To be fair, this is now a 6th fight. He should look better than a pro debut fighter.
Campbell Hatton is not good. I just really wanted to say that again.
I know. I don't agree with it. I don't know if he's good.
That's right.
It's Schrodinger's cat right now, or whatever. You know, like we gotta wait. I don't know what it is right now. It might be dead. But you alluded to you thinking that the Joe Smith Jr. and Max and Vlasov fight was a toss-up. I didn't score it, so let me just put that disclaimer out. I did not score the fight purely off of vibes, right? Vlasov outboxed Joe Smith Jr., and Joe Smith Jr. looked like shit throughout the entire fight. Even in the rounds that I knew he won, like, it was barely him winning. It was him, like, throwing, like, lunging hooks and, like, being able to, like, rock Vlasov for a bit, and that would, like, shift momentum for a round. But his cardio was gone rather early. This was a very weird performance from Joe Smith Jr., especially from his last fight being the Jesse Hart fight, and that was the
Alvarez fight and then the Hart fight.
Sorry, yeah, you're right. The Alvarez fight, then it was the Jesse Hart fight, then the Alvarez fight. But both fights were rather dominant performances by Joe Smith Jr., where he didn't have cardio issues, and his form wasn't so bad. Like, his form here was poor. Like, this was like the old Joe Smith Jr.
That's exactly what I thought. This was a step backwards in the direction. This was the one that lost to Sullivan Barrera 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, this was not the vastly improved Joe Smith that we had seen in his last 2 fights.
I don't know if it's because Vlasov is, a sneaky good fighter. Like, honestly, like his movement's good. He's unorthodox. He has really good boxing IQ. And he worked off the jab in excellent fashion. Like, I have to give him that credit. Or was it just Joe Smith not taking this fight seriously, which there was a lot of rumors of him and his camp not really taking this fight seriously.
I think they were he just got married. That's a distraction. He got married in between, like, because he was supposed to have the fight 8 weeks ago, and then Vlasov got COVID.
Yeah.
He got married in between in those 8 weeks. Like, again, I don't know if that took him out of the gym. I don't know. I mean, maybe he just had a small affair, or I don't know. But, like, that's like a big thing, He did not look good. He looked like the Joe Smith of old that was fun, but not particularly good.
Yeah.
Matt said he was lunging. He was eating a lot of shots. He wasn't jabbing like he used to. He wasn't moving his head at all. And if you go back, especially the Alvarez fight, but the Hart and the Alvarez fight, he's moving his head. He's not just sitting there, like I said about Chaos, using his face to block punches, right? Like, he was moving his head. He's not making you miss like Whitaker, but he's moving his head off the center line and countering you. He wasn't first enough at all. And I get it. Like, Vlasov is tricky. He's kind of like Korobov, where his punches come from, or what's the 140 pounder that I like, that the Iceman from Ukraine. Not
Baranchik, I'm assuming.
Not Baranchik. The one that Crawford fought on pay-per-view.
Postal.
Postal, right? Like, his punches come from weird angles. Like, he's not picture perfect in technique, but he's good. Like, Korobov is tricky like that, and I get it. Vlasov is tricky, but he doesn't have any pop, really, right? Like, I can't believe that this guy went up and fought at cruiserweight.
I do want to say, though, Vlasov did kind of rock Joe Smith one time.
He did, because he hit him so many times. Like, he hit him clean, shot after shot. And
Smith was so out of position, so off balance. Like, I don't know what and this was early in the fight, too, where it was like, oh, what am I watching right now?
He can't fight Beterbiev this way. If he fights Beterbiev, he's got to be the better boxer in the ring. He cannot fight Beterbiev getting hit this much, right? Because Vlasov hitting you is one thing. Beterbiev coming forward and bulldozing you is a completely different thing. He can't replicate this performance and think he's going to have any success against Beterbiev. He's going to be a prohibitive underdog against Beterbiev, and he should be.
Yeah,
he's got to fight the perfect fight, and he's got to win the fight. He's got to win rounds boxing, and he's got to hold his own when they trade on the inside with Beterbiev. Like he can win. It's a long shot, but there's a path to victory if Joe Smith goes back to the way he fought against Alvarez. If he fights this way, he's going to be destroyed. It's going to be a beatdown from Beterbiev.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for Joe Smith right now.
If he fights this way, if he fights the other way, he's going to be the underdog no matter what, because Beterbiev is the best guy in the division. But there's a path to victory for Joe Smith if he executes perfectly. He can't do this. This was not good. And I'm Joe Smith's biggest fan. Right? I've been his fanboy for as long as I've been on the show. That was not a good performance. But he's a world champ now. I had it 6-6. Here's my thing. And one of the judges, I think, did it too. They gave him a 10-8 round in the 11th. I thought the knockdown was legitimate, and he battered him. I gave him 10-8, so I had it 114, 113. It's probably not justified to give him the 10-8 round in the 11th. But I knew, like, if he won the 12th, that he'd win it on my card. And I thought the knockdown was legitimate. They rolled it to the back of the head, and so on my card, technically the one I posted, the one I have on my app is 114, 113 Joe Smith. In reality, I really had it 114, 114.
Yeah. Shout out to Vlasov though. I hope like he gets a big fight like off of this. Even though
I wouldn't want to. Like I said, he's tricky. I wouldn't want to fight him.
Yeah, but like it's not like it's like a star-studded division where like you can like, duck fights for a money fight. There's no money fight in this division. You're gonna get what you can get. You know.
He should.
Gilberto Ramirez.
Yeah, that's the name I was thinking. Yeah,
that'd be a good one. They both kind of fight in similar fashion too. Also on this card was a lot of heavyweights. I'm just gonna mention all the heavyweight fights. F.A. Ajagba knocked out Brian Howard. Jaron Anderson knocked out Jeremy Carpentier. Trey Lippy Morrison knocked out Jason Bergman. One more. Jeremiah Milton knocked out Javon Defani. And Sonny Kanto knocked out Waldo Acosta. A lot of heavyweight knockouts on this card. I can only really remember the Jared Anderson F.A. Ajagba one, to be quite honest. F.A.'s knockout was a classic F.A. Ajagba knockout. That was devastating. Jeremy Carpentier should never be in a boxing ring again. That's my opinion on the Jerry.
He's from a fighting family. Like, do you think he'd be better than that?
No, man. No, I didn't. I knew
that. You don't think he'd be fundamentally better? Like he'd box since he was a kid. Like he'd have a better skills. And not that he's going to be a world, but he'd be better than that. But whatever. Like,
dude, the Carpentier brothers are the U.S. versions of the Smith brothers.
The Smith brothers are better than that, though, right? They're fighting.
They actually won championships.
Carpentier, that was not good.
That was so bad.
F.A. Ajagba, I don't, I didn't see the Trey Lippy fight or the other guy. But they gotta match him tougher than this. Like, that was not good.
Start matching these prospects against each other. Like, if you have all these prospects against each other, like, why not? Like, I know that's not how boxing works because, we want to squeeze out as much money as possible from these fighters, but
don't you want to see what you have at a point?
Yeah, of course. But it's heavyweight. I mean, you can.
I know you don't with Trey Lippy because you know what you have and you probably don't like it, but you can make money off of him. So you'll just match him against tomato cans and try to sell some tickets.
Yes. Not like the boxing. Also, Albert Bell picked up a win against Manuel Rojas. Robson Conceso picked up a win against Jesus Amuda. And Duke Reagan picked up a win against Charles Clark. I did not really see those fights.
And I didn't see those fights because...
I did see a little bit of the Albert Bell fight, but I got bored and stopped paying attention to it. I'll be honest.
The ESPN app, the ESPN Plus app, is a piece of trash, and I couldn't start it again today. I went back to watch the undercard, and it didn't work because the app is a piece of garbage. It kept saying, error can't be played right now. Error can't be played right now. And then I just gave up on it. That app is a piece of garbage. I can't believe... Disney, one of the biggest companies in the world, would put their name on that thing. It is such a garbage app.
It is. It really sucks.
I can't believe they put their name on that. Like this is the app you put out. This is terrible.
That's why I can never use like the phone app. Like I only go on my desktop for ESPN, ESPN Plus, and shit like that. I can't deal with the phone. Like it's so shitty on the phone. It's not worth the time. Like the Zone, like I'll watch it on my phone because like it's a very simple like user interface and shit like that.
Yeah.
But ESPN Plus or ESPN on my phone, fuck no, man. And I hate it when I'm on like Safari on my phone.
Yeah.
Or on Twitter or whatever, and I click an ESPN article and it wants to take me to the fucking app.
Yeah, no,
I don't want to go to the app.
Ever, under any circumstance.
Fucking awful. It's so bad.
You got to pay me to go to. I mean, the app is really bad.
It's funny. Like, Disney Plus is like a really nice app. Like it's not
great.
that. It's I wouldn't say it's great, but it's definitely not bad.
It's user friendly.
Yeah, definitely.
This thing isn't. The ESPN Plus app isn't.
And ESPN like is just like non-pleasing on the eyes. Like
it
looks bad. I don't know what it is. Something about the layout, the colors. I don't know. It just looks awful. You'd in the chat. This is a good point actually. Saying no need for every prospects to fight each other. There are tons of gatekeepers to get KO like Areola, Jared Washington, Brazil. True. There are tons that you could fight.
And I got Eric Molina too.
The non-Texan.
The non-Texan. His Texas card.
Also on Saturday, as Gary mentioned earlier, Conor Benn defeating Samuel Vargas via first round TKO. Shannon Courtney defeating Ebony Bridges via unanimous decision. That was a really fun fight. Savannah Marshall defeating Maria Lindbergh via KO in the third round, and some other fights. And Alexander Espinoza and Yukashi Farouk fight. That was a really fun fight. That was actually one of the most enjoyable fights.
That was a good fight. The Bridges Courtney fight was obviously a good fight. Savannah Marshall. Let's just make the let's start. You want to start with Nigel Benn Jr.?
Yeah. I'm not as high off of this performance as you, to be quite honest. I do think Conor Benn though has the skill set to be a top 15 welterweight. Like that seems quite obvious. Samuel Vargas though is no longer a barometer for that, in my opinion. That's the unfortunate nature.
This is with Khan, knock Khan down.
He arguably beat Khan, let's be honest.
No, he didn't. He did drop him, though. Like, he could say that. He dropped Khan.
Out of the, 3 or 4 welterweight prospects, I think Conor Benn has yet to have, that establishing win and, barometer win. I mean, the rest of them have sort of had that already, except for maybe Ramos too. But I think Hooker is a decent barometer fight for how we can gauge Ortiz in this division. I obviously think Sergey Lipinets is a decent barometer fight for how we can gauge Jaron Ennis, but I can't really gauge Conor Benn off Samuel Vargas. I just can't, unfortunately.
Well, he beat the guy before that. He looked really good in Sebastian Familia, the guy that fought Porter, that they should have stopped in the 8th round. They let Porter beat him up for 12 rounds. Nigel Benn Jr. beat that guy up too. I mean, I'm not saying Sebastian Familia is good. I'm saying he did. Unfortunately, they let him go the distance with Sean Porter for reasons that no one can ever explain, because that was brutal. They could have stopped that at any point. They let it go on. And then Nigel Benn Jr. went in and beat him up just as bad. Now, I'm not saying he's as good as Sean Porter. I'm just saying he did dismantle him and win every minute of every single round in that fight, just like Porter did. And then he won this fight. Is he as good as Virgil Ortiz and Boots? I'm not going to say that. Is he as good as Ramos? I'd say that's a good. Let me ask you this. And I like Ramos. I think Ramos is going to end up in that, but he needs to get a better win.
Yes.
But I think he's projecting to be like those 3 guys are going to run in the division. If Nigel Benn beat him up, that's what I'm calling him.
There's always a split second. I'm like, oh, he's talking about Conor Benn. Okay.
Nigel Benn Jr.
Yes.
Beat him up, beat Vargas up over 5-6 rounds, and trashed him and dismantled him like Virgil Ortiz did. Would that have impressed you more or less? Or would it not have mattered because it's Samuel Vargas?
It's Samuel Vargas.
Okay.
You know what I mean? He's no longer that. He's not a top 20 welterweight anymore.
No, you can't say he is.
You know what I mean? That's why, yeah, you beat up a guy that's a veteran. I'll give you that. but like he's not a gatekeeper to the top 15 or top 10. He's not that. He just is simply, unfortunately, not that. Conor Benn needs to fight someone that like a Thomas Dulorme type. Like I'll be honest, like Satonis has a far better barometer fight than Conor Benn does. Like Satonis is a top 15 welterweight right now. That's undeniable. He beat someone in the top 15.
If they fought, though, who would you pick? If Satonis fought Nigel Benn Jr. tomorrow, or
fight, because I don't think like Conor Benn's the most excellent wizard boxer. I think he just has a good skill set. I don't know, and they both have power, obviously. You know what I mean? Like, Satonis clearly has some pop too.
Oh, he's a big, strong guy. He's a bull in there. He's a force. Sure. Yeah.
He's brawlic, man. Like when he has the shirt on, he looks really like nerdy. When he takes the shirt off, it's like, dude, like you're on the fucking Mexican beef over there, aren't you? But digressing, like I would probably pick Satonis slightly, but I'm really big on like what have you done? Like I don't care about really like what you look like. What have you done? And Satonis has done more than Conor Benn at this point, but that is not a far off fight. Like Conor Benn's probably right around that top 20 mark in the division, and he's just looking for a matchup to launch him in there.
I would give Conor Benn Avanesian.
Somebody mentioned in the chat. You would have mentioned Avanesian in the chat. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean, Avanesian just beat up Josh Kelly, another welterweight prospect. Like, why not have Conor Benn like revenge his promotional mate? Like that makes a lot of sense.
What if he can't? What if Avanesian becomes like the guy that beats the prospect killer? Like, but I think Josh Taylor just doesn't throw any punches with any intentions on him, right? And that came back. Like he was doing fine, but you could tell that he was getting worn down because he was slapping and Evanesian was punching, and eventually the puncher took him out. The only guy that slapped his way to victories was Joe Calzaghe. I couldn't stand him. Joe Calzaghe. Like, throw some punches, man. Like, that pitter-patter stuff drove me insane. Jeff Lacey beat him. Hopkins beat him. You know why? Because they threw punches. Calzaghe slapped you. Like, I could not stand Joe Calzaghe.
Moving on just for the sake of time, because I have to run out here within like 30 minutes, unfortunately. Shannon Courtney and Ebony Bridges. I thought that was a really fun fight. Really back and forth. Ebony just lost her steam towards the end, in my opinion. But those 98 scorecards were bad. Like, there's no way you can argue that Shannon Courtney won 8 out of those 10 rounds. That's not what happened. Sorry.
Yeah, just off the top of my head, she won 3 that I could think of. Clearly, she won 3. 3 that's not even arguable. So the widest I could have, and I didn't realize it, but she won the first 2, and then like she had him badly hurt. I guess it was what round was it, the 7th, something like that.
I was going to say the 6th, but
might have been the 6th. But like she clearly won at least 3 rounds. I was highly impressed. She ran out of steam. They need to do this fight again. Because look, I think the right person won. I think she won enough rounds.
Yeah, she did.
But that fight was so good, and it like they're good. Both those fighters are good. I know people had questions about both of them, if both of them were legitimate, and especially Ebony Bridges. Like, is she just hype, or can she actually fight? She's good. I mean,
I told you, right?
Yeah, we should do that fight again. Really.
Like, they're not going to be the next Clarissa Shields or anything like that, of course, but they're fun fighters. Like, they're going to be great as like mid-card additions or co-main event additions. I would definitely, again, match them up, if not together again. Amanda Serrano, like get Heather Hardy out of retirement. Like, I would do something like
Heather Hardy would be a fun fight. Yeah,
absolutely. And plus, women's boxing, we kind of ignore divisions, so why not? Yeah. Another women's fight, obviously, that I think you kind of hinted that you want to talk about was the Savannah Marshall fight, defeating Mary Lindbergh. Savannah Marshall looked really good also at this weight. She's down at 160. I know a lot of people want the Clarissa Shields fight next with Savannah Marshall, and I think that's clearly going to be a fun fight when it happens. It's not the fight I want to see next, to be quite honest, still. And maybe the fight I would, if I'm a Savannah Marshall fan, I understand why that's the fight I want to see next. But for Shields, that's not the matchup I want next. Still, I still think her fighting McCaskill makes way more sense than anything right now. Sorry, Savannah Marshall.
Savannah Marshall's a bigger payday, right?
Is she?
You don't think so?
McCaskill's Matchroom too, so it's not like there's a different promoter. McCaskill has all the belts at 147 pounds.
So you want Shields to go down?
Shields said she got paid $1 million, so she moved down.
I know. Okay, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with either fight. I was just thinking, and maybe you're right. Maybe it's not a big. I thought Savannah Marshall would be the bigger payday. Here's what I want. Okay, look, I know Clarissa Shields has a short career. All fighters do. She needs to make her money. If they're not making her, she's going to go do MMA. I get it. I don't want her to do that. So I want her to make money. So what I want for Clarissa Shields is Clarissa Shields to fight often for the most amount of money possible. To me, that was Savannah Marshall. But maybe Matt's right. Maybe there's not much of a difference. If there's not much of a difference, I'd rather see her fight McCaskill. If the money's close.
I would say McCaskill is far more of a star in the UK than Savannah Marshall.
McCaskill is?
She's main event numerous times against, Taylor.
Okay. You're right. I just think Savannah Marshall's from there. Savannah Marshall was an Olympian too, wasn't she?
So is McCaskill, though.
McCaskill's from here, though.
But she was also a great amateur fighter. She's She's signed.
She's matchroom fighter.
It doesn't matter. She's a matchroom fighter.
Okay.
You know the UK.
You're right. I mean, yeah. Okay, then. I would prefer the McCaskill fight. I'm happy with either fight. Whatever one makes Clarissa Shields more money is the one I want for Clarissa Shields. Look, I get why Clarissa Shields would go do boxing and MMA. I do. I get it. I don't want her to do that, right? So it's like when someone wants to leave a firm or they want to manage a team. It's like, well, how can I just give you a higher payout? Can I just pay? What do I need to do for you not to go do that other thing, right? Like, just let's pay Clarissa Shields more so she doesn't go do this other thing. Like, let's just pay her more. You know what I'm saying? Like, so whatever fight that is for Clarissa Shields, that's the fight I wanted to take. And if it's the same money, I would rather see her fight McCaskill too. I do agree with that.
Yeah, if it's the same money, I'd rather see McCaskill. If it's more money for Marshall, then take the Marshall fight, of course. That would be a great fight. I will give this. Marshall does have a lot of pop, a lot of power.
Yeah, she does.
I do think she's technically sound, of course. I do think she's probably one of the better boxers in women's boxing. She's a top 15, top 20 women's boxer in the sport. But she doesn't have the accolades yet. And again, I don't think she's really where Shields is going in the immediate term. Not long term, but the immediate. And that's just the unfortunate reality.
The truth of the matter is this: Shields right now is like Roy Jones Jr. in his prime or Floyd. Like, she's going to win every single round no matter who she fights. Like, it just is what it is. Clarissa Shields is that much better than everybody else. Like,
Savannah Marshall fans right now like, no, Savannah Marshall's a better fighter. She's a better technician, better defense.
It's not even close, guys. Like, I have no disrespect to Savannah Marshall. You guys know I love Jessica McCaskill, but they don't win a round. Maybe they win a round, but that's it. Like, Clarissa Shields is Roy Jones. She's Floyd Mayweather. Nobody's beating her. It's like, what can you do to beat her? Nothing. She's just better than you. There's nothing you can do to beat her. Like, that's just the truth of the matter.
And I hope when they do the Shields Marshall fight, because it's a win. It's not an if issue, right? It's definitely a win issue. It's not like age is an issue. Both women are very young. It's not like they're gonna lose anytime soon either. Like, I don't think Marshall loses to anyone at 160 right now. I don't think Shields loses to anyone at 154 or 147. When they fight, I hope it gets pushed like it should, because it should be a big fight. It should be one that they can sell in like UK pay-per-view or something like that, right? But it's yet to be determined when or if Shields would ever get a push in her career. That's the unfortunate reality. I'll keep banging the drum. She needs to get away from Salita Promotions. Love Demetrius Salita, very nice guy, but he has a promotional company that brings in 6 figures a year, if I'm guessing. She needs to be with a multi-billion dollar enterprise to really push her the way she needs to be pushed. That's just the unfortunate reality with entertainment and sports.
It's like the Montreal Expos. The Montreal Expos supported all these like young kids, and they couldn't afford to sign any of them. Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, all came up with the Expos. Like, and then they go somewhere else where they can pay them. That's Dimitri Salita. Like, okay, he brought a good talent. Now you got to go somewhere else and make money.
RIP the Expos. Anyways, that's it for fights this last weekend. Let's get into news of the week. First up, let's get to, I guess we got to talk about it. Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury news, air quotes. There's, I think both Tyson Fury and Eddie Hearn have come out and talked about how there's tons of offers from Saudi Arabia, Dubai, the US, UK, I think some other places too, I forget, and they're reviewing them. I believe a date was talked about as for July something is a date that's been rumored. I forget the exact date. I think Rob texted us the date. I almost didn't even like mention this, to be honest, guys, because I'm of the mindset like this isn't real news till like we have a press release, poster, a press conference. We see them together. Like none of this is really, material in any matter. Gary, your thoughts on Fury Joshua receiving offers from everyone in the world for a fight?
So I'm finally confident that to the point where I really think it's going to happen now, right? Like I was kind of like, but I really think it's going to happen. It's just a matter of June or July and where. But I do think it's going to happen. Again, there's no news until there's news, right? Like, because Tyson Fury is not stable, so you don't know what you're going to get with him. But I do think this fight's going to happen, and I think we'll get that fight this summer, but who knows where.
Speaking of heavyweights, Gary, your boy's back, man. Your man is back. It's official. Evander Holyfield is back fighting Kevin McBride, a.k.a. Danny McBride's older brother. Okay. It's going to be the co-main event to Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos on the Triller pay-per-view. Gary, you hyped, aren't you?
Why Kevin McBride? Because Kevin McBride beat Tyson, and Tyson...
I'm assuming that's why. Has anyone seen, by the way, Kevin McBride, a.k.a. Danny McBride, since that fight?
I mean, he lost after that. I mean, but no.
No.
I saw Holyfield last year when his kids fought in Dallas. He still looked like he's in phenomenal shape. That guy's a freak. Like, you remember how incredible he looked? He fought till he was like 47, and he was still like, looked like, chiseled out of granite, right? He still looks that way. I don't know. How old is he? 55, 56?
Holyfield? Oh, yeah. God. He has to be in his 50s.
Mid-50s, I would say.
Evander, I'm looking up. Hold on. Keep talking.
I'm going to say 57. I'm going to say he's 57 years old, at least.
I'm going to go 53. Let's see who's...
He's older than that. He's fought in the 84 Olympics when he was probably 22 years old. Right, so do the math.
He was born in 1984, Gary. What's the math there?
He was born in 1984?
Yeah.
He was not born in 1984. Because that would make him younger than me.
Career 1984. Boxford doesn't have the age. I'm sorry. I have to go to fucking Wikipedia. God damn it.
I'm going to say he was born like 62, which would make him 59. 63? 62, 63?
62, yeah. Yeah, he was. So that would make him 58. There you go. Gary's right. Gary's right. Damn.
Holyfield was my guy. I like, there was like Holyfield, Tyson, Lewis. You had to pick one. I picked Holyfield. That was my guy. He's from the South.
Even with the steroids?
They're all on steroids.
Yeah, I don't care.
And he was on steroids. Wait, Evan Fields was on steroids. Evander Holyfield was not. Evan Fields was where he had the steroids.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That's the best you can do. Evan Fields.
Man, shout out to Balco, man. But Gary, I mean, are you more likely to buy this pay-per-view now because of your man's Evander Holyfield on it?
The
real deal?
I might not watch it on crack streams.
Really?
I might not go to crack streams and go and watch it. I might not.
Because of this?
I might. No. No, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it. I'll say that.
Oh, yeah, well, we're gonna watch it. We're gonna pay for it. It's an issue.
No, I'm gonna watch it. I don't like stupid mandatories. I guess Kambosos. I guess he's got a good win. I guess it's not the worst mandatory in the world. I just hate.
Definitely not the worst mandatory in the
It's
world.
not the worst mandatory in the world. Kambosos has a good win.
He's a top 10-ish guy. He is. I'm sorry, Gary. He is.
Did he beat Selby?
Yes.
Selby, who does Selby beat at that weight though? And I'm not. I picked Selby to win. Okay, so I'm not gonna say like it's a garbage win. But who does Selby beat at that weight?
Ricky Burns.
Okay.
All
right. Forgot about Ricky Burns. Okay.
I mean, you can argue that's still like Crawford's best win. I'm just saying, guys. Don't shoot the messenger here. I'm really like curious to see like the promotion for this card though. And overall, like Triller period, like I'm just curious to see like what they do. Like they seem to be really investing into boxing. And the last time we had anything like this was like DAZN, of course, right?
Yeah.
Like investing to the sport. And then before that, maybe you can say like Rock Nation, but like that's not like an equivalent to a OTT service, right? But clearly they're spending a lot of money on the industry. Clearly they're spending a lot of money on fights. And I don't want to say it seems to have worked to a degree. But I see a lot more seemingly organic push for the Triller content in this like genesis of it than what we saw with like DAZN circa mid 2018 when it took off, right? There's a lot of animosity against it. There's a lot of pushback against it. There was a lot of confusion from, I think, average consumers in America about it. With Triller, I don't see that. It seems far more organic and natural, even though it's clearly a all of a sudden cash infusion that is not natural, that is not par for the course for this.
That's not healthy either. That's so much money.
Gary, your perception on this as a business guy, I mean, like, what's your perception on Triller in the market, them clearly spending a lot of capital on boxing?
I mean, I meant to look into. I'd forgotten to do it, and I wanted to look into Triller and see their financials and see, what they do exactly. And I haven't remembered to do it. Okay. I don't know until like I know how much Triller is worth. Like, is this maybe nothing to them? Where this is like, okay. I mean, we like to hear people Lopez. We think so we'll dump a ton of money into him.
Aren't they owned by Sony?
I haven't looked into them. Are they owned by Sony? I
want to say they're owned by Sony. I could be wrong. By the way, as of October 2020, Triller has raised $100 million at a $1.2 billion valuation. So it's valued as $1 billion company.
It's $1 billion company.
Musically.com, take that for what it's worth. And other sources like the rap.com. So the rap.com, I mean, that's a worthy website, or one that I know that gets a lot of push. They wrote articles about how Triller claims they're worth $10 billion now.
Okay. Look, if they're a $10 billion company, this is no big deal, right?
Yeah.
If they're a $1 billion company, like a $1 billion company is a good, stable company. But $1 billion companies go bust all the time. They go belly up all the time. $10 billion company, they'll be fine. Like, this is they're well. I mean, obviously there are Enron, for example, right? Like, there are $10 billion companies that go boom and bust all the time, but not typically, right? Like, again, it's a privately held company, right? So I don't really know anything about them. I didn't hear of them until the Mike Tyson thing, right? That was the first time I heard of them. Yeah. I didn't know what it was. But I didn't know what TikTok was till about a year ago either.
And by the way, Triller and TikTok are rivals.
Okay.
Like, they're rivals in the marketplace.
Okay.
Like, I'm just on Google right now. Like, Wall Street Journal has a bunch of articles about how like Triller's, gained like $28 million in investment, and what that means with its rival TikTok, all that stuff. Oh my God, Gary, it's so funny. I typed in who owns Triller, and parent organization's Proxima Media LLC. Gotta look into who owns that. I don't know off the top of my head. But the second thing, and people also ask, that section, right?
Yeah.
The second thing is Triller owned by China? Oh, that's so great. That's so great.
Because
does Snoop Dogg own Triller, by the way, is the fifth.
he should.
The fifth.
He should. TikTok is owned by a company named BitDance, and that's the CEO of that is, I don't know the founder, but the CEO is forget me if I say the name wrong. Xing Jimang. Am I saying that right? I don't know.
You are.
Okay.
I don't think you're far off, though.
I'm in the ballpark. I don't know anything about Triller. And I meant to look into it. Is it like if it was TikTok, if TikTok was putting $6 million behind Teofimo Lopez, you'd say, okay, they like Teofimo Lopez. If it doesn't work out, they're not going to be happy about it, but they're not going to be standing out in the corner with a cup in their hand. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I would think if Triller's doing this, that it's A, well calculated, and B, if they're wrong, it's not gonna really hurt the bottom line too much.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out more about it. I'll try to send you some articles. It looks like a guy named Ryan Kavanaugh. Do you know that name in business?
Ryan Kavanaugh,
white dude, red hair.
I would name like Ryan Kavanaugh. Yeah.
I know I narrowed it down there. He seems to be the primary owner of Triller. There's a marketrealist.com article about it, about who owns Proxima Media. Anyways, me and Gary will do a deep dive on Triller. And
he's an LA guy. He's a CEO of it. Yeah.
The name sounds really familiar, I'll be honest. The face doesn't, but the name does. But digressing. Any other thoughts on Evan Fields?
No.
Okay. No. Next up, and I'll keep it heavyweight just to get through heavyweight topics. Michael Hunter and Filip Hrgović purse bid was postponed as they were told that talks are resuming. Gary, are you like me and thinking that this is a perfect matchup between a semi-veteran and Michael Hunter and a rising prospect in Hrgović?
It's a good fight. And I think you're going to see a lot of fights go to purse bids now after what just happened with Teofimo Lopez. Like, let me just take my chances at purse bids. Maybe somebody will grossly overpay me. And I don't want to say they grossly overpaid. Pay me a lot more than I was expecting to pay. Right? They're putting their life on the line. Every penny they can get, they deserve. So I don't want to say overpaid. But maybe I can get top dollar if I go to purse bids. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think like I used to hate people going to purse bids. Like, just let's sit down. Let's be gentlemen about this, and let's work out an agreement. Let's be reasonable. But like after what Teofimo Lopez just got, let's go to purse bids. let's go to purse bids.
If you have any sort of leverage, I think you should think about going to purse bid in terms of like leverage over your promoter and like pay disputes. Like, go to purse bid. You know me, Gary, I'm not the biggest fan of the free market, but I will say this. I'm definitely a believer in, the value coming from labor. And clearly the people that produce the most labor in boxing are the boxers. So whatever tool they can use to gain the most money for themselves and the labor and value that they create, go for it, man. If you think that purse bid is the way to do it, I will support that. If you think that you need to negotiate and push a purse bid back in order to get your full value, do that then too. Like, use any and all tools available as a fighter to get your full value, because these promoters aren't just going to give it to you. These networks aren't just going to give it to you really, nilly. Like, you have to kind of force these issues at times, like Lopez did, and I think he did it perfectly, to be quite honest.
Apparently, Top Rank won't talk to him anymore.
Are you serious? I didn't see that. No way.
Yeah, the article I think was somewhere in. I mean, it was a couple weeks ago now, but yeah, he's not on. Whatever. Do I care? Look what they're paying me. I don't care what Top Rank thinks.
It's crazy how many times we see Top Rank and Golden Boy shoot themselves in the foot.
I said a year ago, Teofimo Lopez is the future. He's the next superstar of boxing. And Top Rank didn't treat him that way. Somebody else will. Bye. Bye, Felicia.
Next up on news, it looks like Jamel Charlo, Brian Castano is being set to be announced very soon. It's going to be a Showtime fight. That's all we know about it. Gary, I'm really hyped for this fight.
You want to hear what the word in the street is?
Yes, Gary.
It's gonna be in Houston.
Hometown fight too. Oh yes. Any word on it being a double Charlo card again?
Initially, they wanted a double Charlo card. They don't know they're gonna have enough money because this Castano fight actually. So it doesn't look that way. Yeah. That was initially what they wanted until they got Castano, and now it looks like it's just going to be Jamel and Castano, and they'll have Jamal will fight on another card somewhere else.
It's probably smart. It makes sense. I mean, Charlo and Castano should get paid a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I know they're not the biggest stars, and this division's not the biggest, star-stud, division in the sport, but this division is one of the best in the sport. It consistently produces great entertainment and violence for us as fans. And these two guys definitely bring the violence and entertainment value to a boxing fight. So I cannot wait for this. This is definitely one of my most anticipated fights of the year, to be quite honest. And a fight for the Undisputed Championship. Like, I think we keep forgetting that. Like, this is going to be it. Like, whoever wins this fight is the guy in the division. No ifs, ands, or buts. Like, it's him. Cannot wait. Cannot wait for this. Anyways, moving on from that, speaking of a former junior middleweight, Jaime Munguia is facing Demetrius Ballard, who's replacing Silitsky in the DAZN card, which has now been moved to April 23rd in El Paso. Gary, remind me again of Demetrius Ballard. Why do I not remember him off the top of my head? Because when you brought it up, you're like, "Oh, this could be a trap fight for Munguia, and it's tougher than Silitsky." And I was like,
"I don't know that it's tougher than." I picked Silitsky to win. I said this was a
Oh, you were picking Silitsky to win?
I picked everyone to beat Munguia.
The way you looked at me, Gary, I was like, "Duh."
I picked everyone at 160 to beat Munguia. I thought Munguia was the goods. Like I said, okay, this guy is going to turn into a really good fighter. He really hasn't gotten any better. Ballard is an undefeated guy. He fought the top right guy, Falco, the Brazilian guy. Yeah. He fought him to a draw. That was his last fight. That was before the pandemic. So he's been inactive for a while, but so have a lot of guys. I don't really think like. Munguia can be outboxed. He's not big. He's not a big hitter for a middleweight. Like, he's fun, and he makes for entertaining fights. And I think Ballard might be able to outbox him and stand in with him at times. Like, I don't, like, this is, for a short notice replacement, this is an excellent short notice replacement, and it could be a bad fight for Munguia.
We are at that stage where, like, Dennis Hogan gave him issues, so, like, anyone in theory could give him issues, right? Like, yeah. That's right. I do remember the Fakal fight, though. Now that you mentioned it, no, Ballard's good. Now it's like memories kind of floating back. Yeah, he's a good fighter. This should be a fun fight. Should be a lot of inside work between the two. Last couple topics, and we're gonna head out of here. Akhmadiliev versus Ronnie Rios has been ordered by the WBA. Deal is deadline for May 6th. Shout out to Ronnie Rios, man. Like, the guy's been in the trenches for a long time, getting a big fight. Shout out to him. He's definitely going to lose that big fight because Akhmadiliev is a fucking monster. But it's a worthwhile matchup. It's one that Ronnie Rios probably has earned at this point in time, and it should be entertaining. And last topic of the day, Chris Colbert versus Yuriorkis Gamboa in play for Showtime. Dude, poor Gamboa, man.
Like, no, not poor Gamboa. Rich Gamboa now. He keeps getting these fights.
I don't know how well he's getting paid.
You don't think Matchroom paid him for?
I'm assuming Gary, but like I don't remember his payout.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Like that. I don't know. I hopefully he is. getting paid well. It's like Devontae Davis and all these fights. Hopefully he's getting paid well because he's, for some reason, now like the whipping post for the entire like divisions of prospects and talents, right? Like 130 and 135 pounders. Whoever like needs some stars, like whoever needs like face a veteran, we're just gonna throw Gamboa against him. It looks like, and it's really sad because the guy clearly is like old. He has one leg. He's not that good anymore. Like, there's no real value in beating him. It's purely a name value, and I don't even think it's like that worthwhile anymore for like to see this. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't get beat up in this fight by Chris Colbert. Let's be honest. I think even more so than the Devin Haney fight because Colbert has a mean streak while Devin Haney does not have a mean streak. I just feel bad for Gamboa. I'll be honest. Like, this type of matchup made me kind of sad.
Yeah, Chris Colbert is, and Colbert can say he stopped him, and Devin Haney did because Colbert will stop him. And Colbert can say, "Look what I did compared to what Haney did." It's basically what it comes down to, right? Like,
or Devontae Davis,
or Devontae. Well, Devontae Davis just stopped in the last round.
Yeah, but if he stops him earlier,
yeah, and I think he will. Yeah,
and if he says like, "I stopped him when he didn't have a torn Achilles." I mean, think about
that.
It.
Matters. That matters. Not having a torn Achilles matters. That's not a little thing. It wasn't a broken toe like David Hay, whatever David Hay said. or cold, like Manny Pacquiao had a cold.
He's afraid of tattoos and needles, man.
Yeah, but Manny Pacquiao's got 5 tattoos.
No, he's afraid of needles, though. I'm sorry. Those are just like what's the
henna tattoos? Yeah,
that's just henna, dude.
Yeah,
you got soda.
It just didn't wash off. I don't know.
You get applied every day.
Look, Gamboa was that guy that was criminally underpaid when he was pound for pound guy 10, 12 years ago, whenever that was. And he's getting paid now. So, like, I can't fault him. You know, like, when you go back and you look at how good Gamboa was as a featherweight, and you look at his purse, $200,000 purse, $150,000 purse, it's like, wow, that's all he got paid. He's getting paid now, so I can't fault the guy. He's probably getting paid. He's getting paid more now than he was when he was really good. So get your money while you still can. But it's sad, you know, that he's being used this way because I like Gamboa.
Yeah, I mean, how can you not like him back in the day? Of course, I mean, he was a fun fighter.
Yeah,
he was an explosive fighter, a lot of power, and it was one of those guys like he would get hurt in like every fight. I felt like, but he would rally back.
He get knocked down in every fight. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
How has Gamboa been knocked down? But Haney didn't drop him, did he?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't remember it. But yeah, shout out to Chris Colbert and RIP to Gamboa, man.
I just want to see Colbert fight a premier 130 pounder. Because I think already he might be the best guy in the division. Like, and if we're saying Tank, I don't know what you want to call Tank. I guess Tank is a champion in that division. But like Colbert is so good. Like, I really want to see Colbert fight Shakur. That's what I really want to see. I know whatever the politics that be, but you think Shakur Stevenson's better, right?
I would probably pick Shakur.
I'd take Colbert. That's why I really want to see it. But I know.
But that's one of those. It's a coin flip for me because they're both very similar style. Like, who's going to like dictate the range and the tempo of the fight? Because these are two guys that is the most important factors in the game for them.
It's master boxing. You know, it's yeah.
Hey, cannot wait for it though. It will happen eventually.
It'll happen eventually. Probably 10 years from now. Yeah,
but in 10 years from now, they're gonna be 31.
Still be in their primes. Yeah,
it's the craziest thing. Anyways, Gary, any other thoughts, topics? You know, before we head out of here.
No, but we'll be back. End of the week for the.
I'm busy tomorrow. Either Wednesday or Thursday. And by the way, Friday. Finally got an appointment for my nice computer for the Apple Store to get it fixed.
There you go.
Man, you have no idea how long I've struggled here. This old dingy ass computer over here that I'm streaming off of. It is the shittiest. This computer is at least like 7 years old that I'm using right now.
But it's an Apple. It's Mac. It's fine. Like
yeah, I'm only using it for one thing right now.
Yeah,
too. That's helpful. But anyways, cannot wait for that to get fixed. And just a quick reminder before we head over to go subscribe to our other channel, my other channel for sure. I know Gary pops up occasionally to have a debate show with me. Trending Now Network posted a ton of videos lately. Gary, you might like the Ben Shapiro versus Rokana on the $15 minimum wage. I don't think you're a Ben Shapiro fan, but you might like that debate.
Yeah, he makes a good point every once in a while, but not really. He's just so annoying.
Oh, he is.
It's got to be an act. He can't actually be that annoying in real life, right?
No, he can't.
That's what I'm saying. It's got to be like Alex Jones. Like he was going to lose his kid in his divorce hearing because of how nuts he is. But he's like, no, that's just an act. I'm not actually like that. That's just me doing a bit. Like Ben Shapiro's got to be the same. It's like I'm not that annoying. No one's really that annoying. It's a bit I play to antagonize people.
Do you ever see that video? It's Alex Jones, Milo Yiannopoulos. Remember that guy?
Is he still around? I heard his name recently.
Yeah, kind of, but he's banned from all the social media platforms. That's why
he was an internet troll, right? Like he was. I mean, he had his 15 minutes.
They were at some bar. I want to say in Texas, because I think they're like that's where like Jones has his headquarters at. Like where
he's in Austin. Yeah,
yeah. A lot of like conservative media people are based in Austin, I believe. But they're in some bar and they're just talking, and one of like Alex Jones fans comes up to talk to him, and Alex Jones gets so awkward. And you can tell, like, the bit goes off, and the fan doesn't realize it, and it's hilarious, Gary, because the fan starts talking about like reptilian stuff like that. Like he starts going way off the deep end, right? And Alex Jones is like, "Okay, man, yeah," and tries to get the fuck out of there. It's hilarious. I'll send it to you, man. But anyways, final thoughts, Gary. Rest in peace of DMX. We didn't mention that at the top. Rest in peace of DMX, true legend. In everything. Let's just be honest.
Yes. RIP to rest easy. He was on my top 20 list. He wasn't on Foos. I don't remember if he was on Matt's.
I don't think he was.
But find me all forms of social media, 3D Boxing blog. It is February 12th, 2021. Ivan Calderon is still in the Boxing Hall of Fame. Let's make that change. Let's get the Iron Boy in. Texas is still not a country. Let's make Texas a country again. And guys, if you can, go to, I have a link on my Facebook and my Twitter for TACA. So like a female version of a taco, TACA. TACA is how I remember it. That's the Autism Community in Action. If you can share it, if you have the ability to donate to it, whatever, we would appreciate that. It is National Autism Month, and that is a charity that is near and dear to my heart. Well, we'll see you next week. Oh, in the middle of the week, right? We'll be back later in the week. Yeah.
We're back Wednesday or Thursday, if I have to guess, guys. Wednesday or Thursday. If I have to guess, probably Thursday. And remember, Gary, send that to me. I will. Yeah. And I'll post it in our channel and stuff like that. Get pushed. Definitely help out if you can. If you can't,
just share it. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? If you can't do that, there's tons of other things you can do to help out your community, people around you. Like, get involved. I think it's highly important in today's age to get involved with the community. Like, I'm getting involved with a food drive in LA. So, like, just it's important to do that and to help the community out. What else? Be back, like I said, Wednesday or Thursday. Whatever day I don't do MCR, expect a General Strike podcast on Trending Now Network, our other channel. And I think that's it. Obviously, hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Patreon.com/Trending Now Network. # Trending Now Network. If you want to support the channel in any financial way. But all content is free because that's how we do it here. That's it. Find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all social media platforms. Have a good day, good evening, good night. And remember, at all times, fuck the police. Especially
right now, right?
Especially right now. And I don't even need to go into the litany of things that have happened the last week, right? Because it's not just one thing that's happened. Always fuck the police.
But yesterday, I guess it was yesterday or the day before. It was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
Yesterday. It was so uncalled for. So the cops said it was an accident. Like, I didn't mean to shoot him. It's like...
And then you have like local stuff, like in Huntington Beach. You had a White Lives Matter rally,
How did so many white supremacists, like Nazis, like neo-Nazis, end up in like that part? How did that happen?
And it's always been that way.
Yeah, I know. Like, it just seems strange. Yeah,
It is. I would have to look into like why that spot has always been like a neo-Nazi hotbed. But like we saw what happened there. The entire community came out, pushed them out of fucking downtown Huntington Beach. And what the cops do, they fucking came in on fucking horseback and beat up all the fucking people in the community living there that don't want neo-Nazis there. Fucking always fuck the police. Always fuck the pigs. And free Palestine while you're at it. All that fun stuff. You know where to find us. Peace.